So you need to hire a probate attorney, but you don't know where to start. Start by asking the people that you're interviewing these questions. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the right questions to ask the probate attorneys in order to understand whether they're going to do the job well and they're going to do it efficiently and with the least amount of money out of your pocket. So when you're interviewing different attorneys that you might find on the internet or you might see on social media, it's really important to figure out if they have experience and they have knowledge, because those two things combined in the probate world are going to give you peace of mind, but not just that. It's also going to give you the ability to process your case with the least amount of money out of your pocket and the least amount of headache. Probate court is a specialized court in the California system. It's very different from civil court. The procedures are slightly different. The methods of transferring or filing petitions are very different from civil. So if the person doesn't have knowledge or experience in this area, it's going to be very difficult for them to navigate the different procedures and the different systems we have in place in probate. So here are a few questions you can ask in order to figure out if the person you're talking to, the attorney that you're consulting with, really knows their stuff or is just BSing you to get the case and they're not going to do a good job. The first one is ask for the number of years of experience, because obviously the longer they've been doing it, presumably they've seen a lot of different wacky scenarios and they've gotten through it. So if you have someone who has a couple of years experience, obviously that person hasn't seen enough cases to actually know of all the weird things that could pop up in the court system, right? So unfortunately, the more years I don't want to say that the younger attorney is not going to do a great job. They might have the heart to do the great job, but if they've only been practicing for a few years, they're just not going to be able to navigate the system better than a 10+ year seasoned attorney. So the more years in experience, the easier it'll be to get your case through with the least amount out of your pocket, right? Also ask them about their experience. Are they someone who only does probate, or is this an attorney who also does like family law and like divorce cases, immigration, like bankruptcy? Because if they're a jack of all trades, I guarantee you there is not enough hours in the day for them to be able to keep up with all the law changes in this area. As I'm filming this video, there's a new law change that comes into effect April of this year. So if the person doesn't have the time to go sit in continuing education classes or keep up with the changes in law and read legislative releases, they're not going to know that the simple new process is going to be available to the public. So they're going to push you through the wrong process. So experience matters, but also knowledge is important. You want to make sure that that attorney only does probate, that their office handles just these types of cases, not everything else, because simply put, they just don't have enough time to keep up with all the law changes. You know, for example, I have multiple study groups that I'm members of where we sit down as attorneys over dinner and we talk about law changes. Sometimes I give them information, sometimes I learn of new law changes that someone else learned of. So we share knowledge. So I learn a lot of things through my study groups. I go to continuing education courses that are offered all over the state of California on different topics related to estate planning and probate. That's how I learned about a lot of legislative pending changes that are coming up. So sometimes I learn about the changes before they're actually put into law, like, hey, here's a heads up. This is coming through, the governor might sign this into effect and it might affect us in this way. So that's really important, continuing education. So if you're not a practitioner in just your area, there's no way you can keep up with the law changes. So make sure that their experience and knowledge base is good by asking, hey, do you do continuing education? How do you keep up with the law changes? And also, what other cases do you take at your office? Oh, you take family law cases. Let's stop and think about whether that's going to affect their knowledge, right? So definitely ask those questions. Another important question I want you to ask is, how many cases like mine do you take or have you done in the past? Have you ever done a case that's similar to my case? And that way you'll understand if this is their first rodeo or, hey, like they have 50 other cases just like yours. For them, it's like their general legal work that they do day in and day out, and it's going to be great because they're going to know exactly how to handle it. But one of the other important very important question I want you to ask when you're consulting with an attorney that's telling you, like, you need to go to probate. I want you to ask them, is there another process that's available to me? How can I transfer this asset other than probate? Is there another thing that's available, like other legal step that I can take? And if that attorney tells you, absolutely not, you have to go to probate, I want you to follow it up and ask, but are there other processes? What if, this wasn't the case? If that attorney says, absolutely not, you need to go to probate, and doesn't follow it up with explaining why, they're not the right fit for you. Because when I tell a client, no, you need to go through probate, because I actually explain why. Because there is a different process, but it's for assets under $154,000. Or, there is a different process, but unfortunately you don't qualify for X, Y, and Z reason. So when a client asks me, like, what else can I do other than probate, I let them know, like, hey, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, we have to go through a probate filing, because even though we have option 1, 2, and 3, you don't qualify for option 1, 2, and 3. If your attorney is not explaining the law to you, then they are not aware of option 1, 2, and 3 and the fact that you don't qualify. So be very wary of that. So those are just some questions to ask when you're consulting with an attorney. It's a really good idea to really ask questions related to their resume, because that's how you're going to weed out all the ones that are just posting ads on social media to get cases, and then the cases are leaving or themselves stagnant, basically. I can't tell you the number of people I get that come and hire me after hiring the initial probate attorney, where nothing has been done on the case for months, it hasn't moved forward, or the attorney has filed an incorrect filing and the judge just won't let the case go through because the judge is telling the attorney, like, you're in the wrong process. Why are you in probate court? This is a $20,000 account. There's some other procedure that you could have used to get these people the money quicker and without me supervising as a judge. And so I can't tell you the number of wacky cases that I've seen like that have come from other attorney offices. So please be careful when you're hiring. Ask the right questions. Make sure that they're knowledgeable and they're experienced. And good luck, basically. We obviously offer probate services at our office. So we are probate attorneys and trust attorneys here at Bazikyan Law Group. So feel free to consult with our office. We'd be happy to talk to you about your case and tell you if it's a case that we'd be able to help with or not, and see if we're a good fit for you.